So each year, the Gold Humanism Honor Society takes a week to reflect on and celebrate compassionate patient-centered care. This year, we've asked all of our members to contribute as to what this means to them and to offer thanks to those that have been providing this care during the last year.
So compassionate care can mean so many things, but I think the most important one is listening to the story and not the problem. A lot of times patients will tell you what their problem is, but they're really begging you to ask them their story. How did they get there? What are the outside influences that are making their decisions? And when we ask who they are and what their story is, that means we are asking about them, not just their problem.
It means that I am part of a profession that shows kindness and compassion to patients no matter where they come from, who they are, or even where they're going. It means holding hands with patients. It means using kind words. There was one particular instance in which we gave a patient bad news and we went to get him his favorite black walnut ice cream just so he can have a smile on his face that day.
I think it really takes time to get to know the patient because the patient is basically a stranger to you and then they're putting all their trust into you. So if you take the time to talk to the patient, get to know them and treat them like your family member, you're never wrong, and that's the right way to do it.
Compassionate care is not something that can be defined. It's really just something that you do.
I first realized the importance of practicing compassionate care from being a patient myself. I was 17 when I first got sick and was pretty ill for a while there, to the point where all my healthcare team and family talked about was my illness, and really ended up losing my sense of identity and my sense of self within that illness. And that's when I realized that that's no way that a patient should live. And it's really important when you approach a patient to treat them as a human being and as a friend before treating them as a patient with a diagnosis.
I think compassionate care is personal, that it includes the patient's story and their medical diagnosis in developing a treatment plan. In a lot of instances, I've talked to patients who they have undergone procedures or different things, and the discussions that I've had with them are more about their life outside of the hospital, and it winds up making them feel so much more comfortable going through a tough experience and knowing that I'm there to be with them as a human and as a medical provider.
I'm a strong advocate for this compassionate care. I truly believe will help to build a stronger relationship with patients and families and build trust as well. So they will trust your decision. They will carry on with their plan.
Years ago, before the pandemic, we had a student in the Ghhs Humanism chapter that did something that was really kind, that always comes to mind. He had a patient that was critically ill, and he had overheard him talking about crab bisque. And so he went home that night on his own, bought all the ingredients, and perfected a wonderful crab bisque. Brought it in the next day and fed it to the patient. And it ended up being the last meal that that patient had before they passed away. And we would not have even known about it if it wasn't for the family of this patient who contacted us and let us know what this medical student had done and the kindness that they had done for their loved one. That's going the extra mile and showing compassion.
I'm a neurologist, and I specialize in caring for patients with multiple sclerosis, which is a chronic disease, and it affects people in the prime of their lives as young adults. And it's important when they come to a visit to have an understanding of what they're going through, and giving them an environment in which they feel heard, listened to, and acknowledged is as important to the patient as what you recommend to them.
Compassionate care is so important because the healthcare system affects all of us. How much better does the system work when we all treat each other the way we would like to be treated as patients? Compassionate care has looked so different during the COVID pandemic. COVID has brought so many challenges and barriers to the hospital, and we would like to thank the people who have still made this a priority.
I'm very proud of all the folks in the healthcare system, as everyone suffered burnout, everyone showed a commitment from security and environmental services and all of the support staff to administration and all healthcare providers.
I'd like to Give a big thank you to the emergency department, all the physicians, nurses, and support staff that have helped keep us going during this tough time of COVID. Y'all are on the front lines and are doing a great job.
So thank you to everyone. And as an ICU doctor, special thanks to the ICU nurses and respiratory therapists. You guys have stepped up your game. You were world-class examples of compassionate care, of no fear of the virus, but rather treating people the way they need to be treated. So thank you again. Also, special thanks to those nurses that volunteer to give the COVID vaccine so we all can be a healthier community.
I would also like to thank all of the attendings that have taught me during the COVID pandemic and have given me examples of what it means to be compassionate with patients. I think it's been a tough time to be teachers and to be medical providers at the same time, and as a student, I've just benefited so much from their example and their interest in teaching me during this time.
From our nurses to our environmental services to scrub techs, we're so blessed to have everyone committed to the same purpose of excellent patient care.
I would just want to say thank you to other, services that maybe, less thought of, particularly, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. They're the ones that are really having to get in there up close with the patients. They don't have an option to examine their patients through a window. So they have just as much potential for, exposure to COVID-19 as any of us. And they don't get the choice to see a patient at a distance.
I want to thank our residents who have provided continuous care for our patients here over the past 2 years. They are instrumental to making this place work. If it was just a hospital full of people like me, people would not be able to get the care they need to. Our residents are really the people that carry the bulk of the burden for our hospital. I want to thank our burn nurses on the 4th floor and in the burn ICU. Those nurses have taken on not only just the burn patients, but have taken the COVID patients when they need to, and have really been the glue that holds this place together and providing care for a diverse range of patients for whatever the hospital calls them to do.
I would like to, take a moment and thank really everyone at our institution, all of our staff, our frontline workers, employees, faculty, students, residents, everyone who has really gone above and beyond the call of duty during these last several years, during the trying times, is even at its at its worst when we were so busy. Everyone has consistently worked hard to demonstrate respect, compassion, and empathy to all of our patients, and we would just like to take a moment to let everyone know how much we really appreciate them doing that.